Hello and welcome to this series of Seeing Clearly the Obvious. I meet so many people and they have this goal, this idea of attaining awakening. Please understand that waking up is simply seeing what is obvious here and now. We keep missing it. It's true, our ego will put up a fight and it wants to know that it's going to achieve something and it's working better, but it's really very simple. You know, seeing clearly is all that is necessary. And awakening is simply seeing clearly. It's not figuring out, it's not trying to make sense out of something. In fact, it's quieting the whole mental activity and seeing what is obvious here and now. So let me repeat. And let me give you an example what seeing clearly means. You know, a teacher went in front of his students in the classroom and he drew a circle in the middle of the blackboard. And he asked everyone, "What do you see?" Most of them said, "I see a circle." And they missed the blackboard. So you see, it is a matter of seeing. Seeing what is at the moment as it is. Not your concepts, not your idea of what you should focus on, but to see. Now there are only two things in order to see clearly. Two obvious things. The fact that you exist, very, very simple. You are here, you exist. The miracle of that, the wonder of that. Existence itself. To look at the obviousness of that. And it's not a personal thing. Everything exists. You are existence that is appearing as you in this form. And this existence is pure energy. In science, we know it as this. Pure energy is indestructible. It simply changes form. So the form keeps changing. Your body, your name, your past, your memory, everything keeps changing. But there's one thing that never changes. It is you, the observer, the witness, the seer. That is the truth of you. And then there's another truth which is obvious. Now. Now is all that there is. Everything happens now. Everything that you thought you ever experienced was you experienced in the now when it happened. But you see, we live in time consciousness, which is a fact of the linear brain. But if we allow ourselves to see, we'll see very clearly that now is the only real thing there is. Yes, your egoic past, your self-image will fight it. That's understandable. But if there is willingness, if there is true yearning for what is real, you wake up in no time at all, because grace is ever waiting for you to help you to see. Now listen to the following video. Listen.
It's all being done. All we need to do is see. Everything is effortless. When we catch that we are seeking so desperately, we want to get, we want to gain. We have to see that there's nothing to gain. There's nowhere to go. There are no answers to life. There's only here, now. Yeah, this.
But isn't seeking also like having a desire to understand?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, but that's how it starts, though. You
Yeah.
say that you don't have to have seeking, but if you don't question who you are, that is the seeking in itself.
That's right. That's exactly it.
So you have to start with seeking.
Absolutely.
But didn't you just say you didn't?
Oh no, I didn't say that.
Oh. Okay.
My question was,
What was the question?
my question was that all these people have sought for so many years and then finally saw the light. Now, was the seeking necessary? before they. And then Sylvia said, we don't do seeking, seeking happens. And that was brilliant. Exactly. We don't choose seeking. Seeking happens. Everything just happens. And that's what I'm trying to say here. Everything is effortless. And as we begin to see that everything is happening to us, we are being lived. As we begin to see, we ourselves automatically begin to give up control slowly, 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 until it's all dropped. The moment it's all dropped, the ego is dropped, we find, wow, I've always been this beautiful being. I've always been this. And then you look at everyone and you see the same thing. You see everybody is perfect and beautiful, even though they don't know it. You see? And that's the love. That's the understanding. That's the clarity. Yeah.
So is there a stage where the seeker, who may or may not be aware of the seeking anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, that,
Yeah.
that the seeker finally does become aware,
Mm-hmm.
because that seems to me to be the flash.
Yes.
That's kind of the flashpoint
Yeah.
of the chemical reaction or whatever it is.
Right,
You know,
right.
chemical, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I know, and somehow I've met lately so many people who are so unhappy
Mm-hmm.
in their in where they are, in their seeking,
Mm-hmm.
in their which hasn't borne any fruit for them.
Right.
And so now, but they're still even
Even though they're still seeking.
identified with seeking, they still don't see their seeking.
That's right. There wasn't the grace, the readiness, the commitment to make them see that seeking is not getting them any place.
So is that just grace?
Well, everything is grace, sweetie.
Yes.
There's nothing but grace.
Okay.
And what is the grace? What is grace? Everything comes through grace. But what is grace? Right now,
Yeah.
this moment. You see? Something in you stops and looks and sees. Wow. Yeah. You see? And it's clear.
Letting
But
go
that's-
of control and
Hmm?
letting go of control.
Absolutely. Grace cannot happen, not even come close, as long as the slightest need to control. Yes. That it can't happen. But grace is there all the time. You see?
It's almost like we are, like grace is the water, and we're in the boat thinking that we're going to drown if the boat goes down. So we do everything we can to stay out of it. And when the worst happens and the boat sinks, then we are buoyed up by something that...
Yeah. This is a good one too. Like, think of it as the ocean. Think of it as water. Okay? Now, when you're afraid of the water and you struggle, you probably sink. You could even drown. Okay? Because you get tired and then you get sapped into it. But if you're totally confident, there's no control in you at all, you could just sleep on the surface. I mean, I'm sure some of you are good swimmers and have done this. I mean, I can do it. Yeah, you just stay on the surface.
You stand in the water, you
Yeah.
don't sink with the head down.
Yeah, or you can do that too, yeah,
You put your
yeah.
head up, breathe.
But I'm actually saying, you know, maybe the legs go down a little bit, but you can actually stay on top of the water and just relax. And the water is just like your cradle, yeah. Because that's the trust. So life is like that water. If you trust it, it will keep you up and it will relax you. But struggle for a moment and it will pull you in.
Does it often become more intense, this control, or this sort of feeling despair, or
It leads to all the, yeah, it can lead to all these things, but then we have to love truth to the point where we say, am I seeing that this is trying to get my own way, control, you see, because control is an addiction. So it happens without even us knowing that it's happening. It comes automatically, a defense mechanism. Maybe you haven't been loved by your parents, you see, or maybe we have been abandoned, or whoever. I mean, we don't know. So we create this pain, you see. It becomes frozen in your unconscious, and it takes form. It takes form in control, so that we are not controlled or lose control, which of course makes sure that we lose control and we are controlled. I mean, that's the paradox, that the more we're afraid of something, the more we resist it, the more we draw it towards us, you see. What you resist persists. That's an old psychological maxim, yeah. So, yeah.
Something that came up for me between last week and this week was like this real fear of powerlessness, and that there was actually had been sort of the control was an avoidance of realizing that I was fully powerless anyway. And I realized that this fear had been to sort of avoiding that powerlessness, and then there was sort of this relaxing into that powerlessness, like it's inevitable. It's already fully, I am fully, that ego is already fully powerless. I can't control anything sort of feeling, but it was all hinged on this fear of really feeling the powerlessness. And then after really just like allowing that to be here, that powerlessness, it's sort of like for the next 2 days it was like so gentle, everything that came up, like this sort of like real love with everything that came up.
Beautiful.
And I didn't realize that I was always have been like so hard on the things that sort of come up, not sort of like allowing them to be there, but sort of for this sort of pressure on them. And it was like, well, it's so powerless that it all just comes up and through. But it was like it was a gentle love that I had never experienced with.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so. Thank you, Wes, for sharing that. That's beautiful, and that's it. You see, the way you've looked at it, you found yourself helpless, and there's a part of you that fights it, but you allowed it. And the moment you allowed it, a whole new dynamic came into being, and that's the whole point. See, we have to allow our emptiness, our greatest fear, and knowing that there's an unknown force that can come into being, but we don't know it. We don't know what it is or anything, but we can surrender. And when we surrender, that it's just like, I don't know who said this, I don't know what it was, the Bible, but it was a beautiful quote. It says that when you give God a little finger, He gives you the whole hand. You know, the moment you surrender even a little bit, there's a force that comes and uplifts you. But it says at the same time, like you said, it's gentle. You know, it is sweet, it is kind, it is loving. And that is the wisdom that's in us. That the moment we surrender any form of control, no matter how slight, the moment we surrender control, even to the point of allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. You're laughing at me? Great. I'm going to allow you. It doesn't matter. You see? Allow yourself to be vulnerable. And the moment you allow yourself to be vulnerable, there's another energy that comes up.
Hello again. I hope you enjoyed this first video. And now we're going to the second one, which is going to hopefully persuade you that there's nothing to attain, nothing to achieve, nothing to even overcome, but to see. And all it takes is your willingness, your true desire, aspiration for what is real. Watch.
Seeing is all. Seeing is complete. And seeing what? That which is so simple that it's closer than your own breath. Being here, the presence. There's nothing but presence, you know. This was confirmed to me when I was in hospital, when I had that shift. And not that I didn't know it before, but it came like a bang. There's nothing else but this. Anything else is a deviation from this. Any seeking of God is a denial of God. Because you're saying it's not this, it's not here, it's not now. You see? Every move you make, every breath you take, every sight you see is God, is the totality, is the oneness. And every fear that you experience is an invitation for you to learn more love. But if you don't see it that way, then you keep on suffering. Things keep happening. Karma is created. Because you see, when you're not listening, you reinforce the idea that you're a separate individual. And then there's isolation, there's loneliness, there is emptiness, there is deprivation, there is all kinds of, quote, bad things, which of course do not exist. They only exist because you think you are who you are not. You see, you are divine. And when you begin to see that, then you continue your planning, you continue everything. And if you happen to like planning a lot and creating a lot or thinking a lot, you can continue doing it too. But always, always, you never deviate from who you are. You see yourself going through the process of these games. And your sense of humor becomes more pronounced. You laugh more easily. You become happier than before. You find peace. Everything becomes clear. And you're not touched. Some people thought, but if I wake up, if this happens to me, what will happen to my sexual life? What will happen to my relationships? What will happen to my family? Nothing happens. Everything improves. In fact, what happens is that everybody will try to be like you. Because you'll become an example. Nothing changes. And we're talking about recognizing the eternal now. Which of course, how can you explain the eternal? How can you put words to it? Really, what I'm attempting to do here is almost impossible. But I'm talking to the heart. Yeah.
So if one, say, feels that there's something that they're worried about, is it in the very seeing or giving attention to that that helps one to sort of be more in the present? Or
Yes.
looking at it and
Yes.
saying, so sort of like a little dialogue inside saying
Not a
something,
dialogue, no. Let's say you're worried right now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see it as an invitation. You know what I mean by invitation? Like, you don't see it as something wrong. You don't say, I shouldn't worry.
Right,
If you try to not worry, you worry more.
right.
Okay? You cannot stop an emotion. You cannot stop a feeling. There's no way. But you can say, oh, this is an invitation to take me into seeing more. Okay? I'm worried. You know, maybe worried about money, worried about the future, worried about an exam, worried about giving a speech next time and, wonder how it's going to turn out. Or whatever. It's always about some outcome. Okay? And you become aware of that. This is called an invitation. In other words, you use it and says, oh, this is going to help me here to see this. You don't try to overcome your worry. No, you just leave it there because it's a happening. It's not you. We don't. When we get depressed, we don't say, oh, I think it's 9 o'clock, I'm going to get depressed now. Right? You don't. Depression happens. Fear happens. Regret happens. But when it happens, you have a choice. In fact, that's the only choice you really have. To see it as an invitation to greater growth, to greater clarity, or to get caught in it. And when you get caught in it, you don't make a choice. It happens automatically if you do not see it as it is. So you don't change anything. You be who you are. moment to moment, worries, fears, it doesn't matter, there's nothing wrong. It's all part of oneness. It's all God's play. You see, it's all part of the divine. But you have a choice to see it as part of the divine and be free within it and even celebrate it. That's the invitation. Or to get caught in it and makes yourself very small, and then you get into a box. You see? Then what happens when you worry? Worry itself is not wrong, but you worry about worrying. You see what happens? You go into a box, right? You become very small. They're against me. I wonder what's happening. You see? I'm not happy. Everything starts to happen to you because this is the natural movement of making things personal. Did you know that everybody thinks they are personal? Isn't that proof that it's universal? Isn't that? Yeah. You see? It's all coming from that one. Now, that's the invitation. See it all as coming from that one. And your invitation means that whatever is happening to you, quote, which we think is wrong, is nothing more than saying, well, this is what is happening now, and if I allow it, if I move through it, it will help me to love more, to accept myself more, to see more. And when I said to accept myself more, sorry, I correct that. There is no myself. There is only what is happening. To see it as something that is happening. And there's no wrong. It's just a happening. Thought happens, emotions happen, feelings happen. But you are. How many of you understand what I've just said? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. Ooh, that's exciting. That's great. Yes, this is it. It's just a happening. You are free right now. You see, that is the eternal. The eternal means this, that you don't need to do anything to attain anything, to overcome anything, to study anything, to know anything. Just see that this moment is. Just is. This is the presence. As you see, as you look, as you observe, this is presence. And there's never going to be a time when this is not. And this is the truth. That is the liberation. You see how simple it is? This is the great treasure. And when it resonates with you, so that you have heard it enough, known it enough, so that you never forget it. It's with you. It becomes alive in you. That's what true freedom is. That actually, the Christian name for salvation, that's what actually salvation is. Salvation means that it's a Christian word, but what it really means is liberation, freedom. You see? Any questions? I did all the talking today. But the listening is very good. And the listening is what makes a satsang. Because you will find this guy is talking and you are listening. But in truth, the one who listens and the one who talks are one. You understand that too? Yeah.
Okay, and now we're at the end, and let's sum it up. It all comes back to the truth of this moment. What are you right now? What are you? Ask yourself, what am I? And then you find that what you are is I am. The felt sense of I. There is this energy that says I. Normally, you know, I would say I am Burt. But Burt is just a name. The form has changed many times. But what am I right this moment? And when I come back to that nothing state, to that emptiness, to this now moment itself, all that there is this felt sense of I. But this I that I thought was personal, that belonged to Burt, is really universal. It is existence itself. It is the universe looking through me. Now, when you start realizing this, your life will not be the same. That's what joy, that's what peace, that's what love, that's what gratitude, that's what true living is. Thank you for watching.